Hello everyone, welcome back to Sarah's Stories. We are doing another series which has two stories. This is the second one. It's called Kings from the Orient. Kings from the Orient has kings from China, Japan, Korea and those regions where we see that the kings punish someone a lot. They get their outcomes on themselves and then there is a transformation. So the important thing in this series is the transformation that happens and not the punishment that the kings are giving. And when things happen to us in life, we do change, right? So that is what this series is focusing on, and it's a wonderful way to introduce values to children as well. So once upon a time there was a king who used to visit different palaces depending on the weather. This was in Japan, and from his summer palace he would go to his winter palace, and from his winter palace he would go back to the summer palace. And one day in the winters, as snowfall had just begun, he went to another palace of his where it was a little warmer but it was still snowing. And when he went inside the palace, he removed his slippers because that was the tradition of the time. One cannot enter the palace with the slippers on. His slipper guard, so there was somebody who used to guard his slippers. They were wooden slippers. His slipper guard saw that it was snowing outside, it was wet outside, and to protect his king's slippers, he took his kimono and he tucked the slippers into the fold of the kimono. And when he did that, the slippers remained dry, and the king wore dry slippers when he came back. But the king saw that the slippers were absolutely dry, and he did not appreciate that because he thought that the Heishiro was the name given to people who would guard the slippers. Heishiro had sat on them to keep them dry. The king felt very humiliated that somebody else sat on his slippers. So he took his wooden slippers and he hit the Heishiro on his head with them. And the Heishiro fainted right there with the wooden slippers on his head. The king moved on and he went away. He forgot about this incident. He went on with his life, and a few years later, the Heishiro, when he got up, he thought that this is not the right way to treat anybody. Even if he is a slipper guard, he would strive. And for a few years he studied Buddhism, he studied the techniques, and he thought revenge is not the right way to go about this. So he began to work on himself. And as he worked on himself, he became a Buddhist teacher. And far, far away in the kingdom of the king, he fell sick. And as he fell sick, all the physicians, all the Veds, everybody, all the doctors came to try to treat him, but nobody was able to. Everybody thought that this was a reason of the king's wickedness, and that is why he was getting his due. And that is when a very, very healing monk was called to the king, and this monk came, and it was none other than the Heishiro, but obviously the king did not recognize him. And finally the monk said, "Your condition is beyond my perception. I think I can only pray for you." The Heishiro prayed and prayed and prayed, and the king got better. So the king was very happy, and he said, "Whatever you did worked." Heishiro said it was only the power of prayer which worked here, so nothing that is to be done. The king said, "What reward can I give you?" The Heishiro said, "You might not remember me, but I am the person outside your winter palace. You took your wooden slippers and you hit them, and those slippers are right there." So the king felt very, very upset and very sorry as to what he had done, and he told the Heishiro, "I'm very sorry, I will never do something like this again." The Heishiro said, "Yes, you should not be doing anything like this. Whether a person is rich or poor, you don't get to decide how you treat them. You have to always treat a person well." And the king understood, and both of them parted ways. So I hope you did like this story, and you can definitely ask children about their views of how they feel with this story, how they feel about transformation, how they feel about behavior. These kind of stories can also be very good to tackle bullying as subjects in schools or at home, where you can totally tell children that, this is how bullies behave, these are the characteristics. If you want some conversation starters, these stories are amazing to do that. So here we come to an end with the series of the Kings of the Orient. I hope you liked it, and we'll be back with another series very shortly. Or if you want to know stories on any series, why don't you put them in the comment section below, and I will try to do the stories next year, because next year is very soon. So I thank you for coming here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and yeah, that's it. See you later.